Hello and welcome to Krista So Crafty. My name is Krista. So the supplies you're going to need to make the Pokemon ball keychain are quite simple. You're going to use some plastic cording, you're going to use some beads of course, and then just some other little supplies. So I'm going to use this ruler and I'm going to measure out 5 feet of cording, and this will give you enough that you can put the beads on and then have enough to tie it at the end. So once you've done that, you need to take and find the center. So I just take it and fold it over and match up the both of the ends, and then the other end is where the center is. So at that point, then we're going to take and put our keychain on. So take the part that's folded over and slide it through the keychain part, and then just pull the other two ends through there, and this will attach it onto the keychain. Now you can use any type of keychain. I'm using this one here, but you can also use the ones with a clasp, or you can just use a ring. It's up to you. The other thing I always do, no matter what keychain I'm working on, is I take a couple pieces of tape and I tape the clasp down onto my working surface. This helps to hold it in place, and it just makes it easier to work on the project. When you're working with this cording, it does have a tendency to fray a bit. So I like to take a lighter and just very carefully just kind of singe the ends, and this just seals them up and so that they're not going to fall apart. It also makes the ends a little bit harder so that when you're going to push it through the beads, it just works that much better. So I'm just trimming off that little fluffy stuff there just to make it a little easier, and then I'll just burn it with a lighter, and this just creates, like I said, a bond, a sealed end. So now you can take and separate your cording, and we're going to start adding our beads. To make the Pokemon ball keychain, we need to start with 5 red beads. So I'm going to take and put the 5 red beads on the one side. Doesn't matter which side you start with. You want to put the 5 beads on there. And once you get all 5 beads on there, then you're going to take and put the other cord through all 5 of those beads going the opposite direction. Just like I'm showing you right here. So you just take that cord and push it through. Sometimes you can get it through all 5 at once. Sometimes you can only do a couple at a time. So just take your time and put it through. Make sure that the beads aren't falling off the other cord. And then you'll be able to have this part of the row all finished. So I have 3 through there, and I'll put 2 more through, and then I just grab both ends of the cords and I just pull and bring those beads up to the top right by the clasp. And then we're going to move on to the next row. For row 2, we're going to take and place 7 beads on the cord, and I always like to start on the same side. So I'm using the left cord to put the beads on, and then I string the right cord through. It doesn't matter, like I said, it doesn't matter which way you go, but that's just how I like to do it. So once you get all of those on there, you will put the other cord through. Now, as you'll see, I've taken my pen because one of the beads has a little bit of a film over top of the opening, and so it's not allowing the cord to go through. Don't throw it away. It's not, you can absolutely still use it. Just take a pen and poke it through, and it will allow you to get that plastic out of there, and then you can run the cord through. So again, running the cord through, and sometimes it's a little tricky. Just take your time, like I said before, and get the cord run through there, and we're just going to grab both ends and pull it snug. Row 3 is going to have you placing 3 red beads, and then you're going to place 3 black beads, and then you place 3 red beads. So 3, 3, and 3. And what this will do is it's starting to make that center round part of the ball on the Pokemon. And now we're just going to take the cord and run it through the other way. Now in this tutorial, I'm using the traditional colors, the red, black, and white for the Pokeball, but you can use whatever colors you want. I mean, if you want to make it pink, green, and yellow, absolutely. It's just change out your beads and have fun. That's the idea of making these crafts on your own, is just to have fun with what you're doing. All right, so let's move on to round 4. Now in this round, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to put 4 black beads, then we'll put 2 white beads, and then 4 black beads again. So this is going to help create the illusion of the circle in the middle. The procedure is the same. Once you get the beads on, you're going to run that cord going the opposite direction, and then you're just going to tighten it up and pull it up so that it's lining up with the rest of the Pokeball. And we can then move on to our next row. So this next row is a lot of white and a little bit of black. You're going to place 3 white, 3 black, and then 3 white. And again, you can change up the colors any way you want. This is your project. Have fun with it. So once you get all 3 of those on there, you're going to run the cord through and snug it up. Okay, so let's move on to row 6, and this time we're going to put all white beads on. At this point, there should be only white beads left. If you have other colors left, you may want to go back and have a look at the pattern. Once you have all 7 beads on your cord, you're going to run that other cord through the center and snug it up. Now we'll move on to the last row, and this row should be 5 white beads. So once you get them on there, do the same thing, run your cord back through the other way, and then you're all done. And all that's left is to tie it up. So how I like to finish off the Pokeballs is I take and tie a single part of the knot, and then I take the cord and I run it through the bottom row of the Pokeball keychain. Now it doesn't matter again which way you're going. The idea is you want to take that cord and run it through the bottom row so that both cords are on the same side, and then you can tie a knot. Now I'm going to tie the knot, and I do a double knot there to hold it in place, and then I'm going to trim off those cords fairly close, not real close, but fairly close. I want to be able to run the lighter over it and kind of seal those ends off. But that's it, you're pretty much done. So again, if you're going to use a lighter, please be very careful. And if you don't have a lighter, or if you're not old enough to run a lighter, please don't. Just use some glue on the ends of the cords, and that will be enough to keep it so that they're not going to come undone and they will not fray on you. So either the lighter or a little bit of glue. But that's it, your little keychain is all done. Here I'm showing you my fingernails that are Pokemon inspired. And here is a pattern for the beads. You can take a screenshot of that. I want to thank you for joining me today, and happy crafting.